to Week 2 podcast for ACfR, another chance for redemption. Joining us tonight is myself, Ben Comfort, owner of Two Girlies, One Cup. We'll move over here to...
Wait, before we go any further, what do you think of that?
What's your Twitter handle?
As the owners of Todd Gurley, what do you think of that?
I'm just a little confused, I guess.
Yeah. It actually made me double check the roster because I was like, thought he got him somehow, but
And I own Cooper Kupp.
A little bit of creativity.
It is.
Listen, you don't have to own the player to use it in the team name, do you? Is there a rule on that?
I don't know. Maybe there should be.
The creativity there trumps the actual thing that I don't have that player.
Maybe we'll show you the team name for like $5 free agent dollars.
That's a good point. I mean, don't you own the rights to use that name?
Or give us 5 points a week. That's what we'll take from it.
You don't need it. What are your scoring?
So I have to rent my team name now. Okay.
Sorry, go on. Also with us
is our true host, Alan Benson.
Yeah, that's me. And my team is Babcock. We are Babcock. Sorry, I'll get it right.
And what's the meaning behind that, Alan?
There's a very interesting classical novel in which the character it's in some sort of Pulp Fiction sci-fi book.
Okay.
I'll get into it another day.
Okay.
When I can really drag it out.
Week 3 in the ACfR podcast. The origin of We Are Babcock.
Maybe the playoffs. Nobody wants to hear about the playoffs.
Right. Playoffs.
I just hope we win another game.
Yeah, I'd like to win a game.
I'm surprised I've won too.
So also with
us is Tom, Chad, Cat Dog. They can introduce their team.
You want to do it?
Yeah, we're Bolt Speedman, the champs.
So how many championship watches would you say you've won in the modern era?
2 each.
Yes.
Yeah.
I should have wore them. I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, I have.
Actually, we have 4 champions in this podcast right now.
It's accurate.
True. Very accurate.
Podcast.
I
like that.
Some other players will remind you of like second place finishes and stuff, but we have 4 champions.
Yeah.
So
kicked out the side this year or this week. So in speaking of this last week, our leading scorer, highest scoring team of the week, Jeff and Emily, Days of Our Wives. They are 2-0. They are not the leading scorer in the league, however. That distinction belongs to Tom and Chad. Bolt Speedman.
That's
Jeff
right.
and Emily, they put up 118 and then crushed Mikey is a Ginger, who is one of our new owners. Looking at the matchup, Jeff drafted Carson Wentz pretty early. I don't know if we've talked about that yet. He seemed to paid off so far. What do we think about his selection?
I think that's a good pick.
Yeah.
I think it's a good pick.
He's been solid. He's got another Eagle in Alshon Jeffrey, who also seems like a good pick so far this year. Carson looks to him often.
But we are talking about 2 Eagles players here, right, guys?
Yeah.
It always just start off well, but we know
They'll get to a 6-0 start and then lose like 7 of the last however many.
Right.
Just like last year.
But they'll win that last game versus Dallas. No Dallas is in the playoffs. Kenny Galladay, who's apparently
Babytron.
there's a nickname war going out there. Detroit doesn't like the name Babytron, as I understand it. They don't want to have anything to do with Megatron. Kenny G. I've heard Kenny G.
Kenny G.
The Sax Man.
I've heard one other. What was the other one? The Galladay Inn.
Galladay Inn. The Hotel Motel?
Yes,
Galladay Inn?
that's it. The one and only. Also on his team, he's got Kareem Hunt, 6th-round draft pick. How prescient was that selection?
Oh. You know what I have to say about that? A blind squirrel finds an acorn every once in a while, gentlemen.
Now, who do you think drafted that? Do you think that was Jeff or Emily?
Emily.
Yeah, I think that has to just be like a randomized pick, and that would be an Emily pick. And she was throwing darts in the 6th round already, and she landed on Kareem Hunt somehow.
All right.
So kudos to Emily, the
took
true
Doug
owner of Days of Our Lives.
Took Doug Martin the pick before.
Oh God.
Throwing darts, like I said.
Way to just throw that right back in my face.
He took Danny Woodhead the round before.
Yes, I did.
Ouch.
Hey, where's Danny Woodhead playing these days?
On the IR.
That's it. So probably week 8 or 10 or probably never again. So that wasn't prescient. And then we also have Tevin Coleman, who went a pick before Danny Woodhead. I know that because that's who I was targeting. And then we have
That's true.
Travis Kelce, who just crushed it last week. He's just going hard on the Eagles and Chiefs. Matt Bryant
and Falcons. So he's got 3 Falcons
three
too.
Falcons. Yikes! So he's got
He
the
loves
best
the birds.
offenses in the Eagles and the Falcons. He's got T.Y. Hilton on his bench. Eddie Lacy, who seems to be like a wasted pick at this point, but
So Eddie Lacy was dropped today. And let me pull up who he took. Or they took.
Yeah, he did drop Lacy, I believe, didn't he?
Okay.
Yeah. Man.
I'll be honest with you, T.Y. Hilton's basically nothing until they figure out their quarterback situation.
So they got Smallwood.
Oh, yes, he got Smallwood, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, I dropped him, so he'll be a
bidding on that.
Stud, for sure. Yeah, we haven't had a ton of bidding wars, but we'd had more than usual. Like last year, I think we had maybe 2. This year we've had 5 already. But I would think there would be more. High bids.
I gross.
What's that?
Go ahead. I grossly overpaid for Simeon.
Yes.
So I consider putting in a bid for Simeon. How do you feel about him? He's going to keep this up.
I think the Denver defense, in a way, helps him. Do you guys understand what I'm getting at? Like, I think it takes pressure off of him knowing that their defense is so good.
Makes sense.
You know what I mean? Like that. So I think he can be, even if he's just an average quarterback, he's going to put up better than average numbers.
Just because of his field position.
Yeah.
He knows he's not going to be relied on to put up 40 points because he knows the defense will do their job.
Exactly.
So.
If he can maneuver 3 touchdowns a week, they probably win. You know,
not feeling too much pressure. You know,
yeah,
they're ahead.
So, and my options now are Luck, who might not play at all this season, and Andy Dalton, who's trash. So, if I want to compete at all, I needed someone, and I wasn't going to pick up Eli Manning or Blake Bortles. So
I think Kaepernick's
well.
Who's out
there?
there?
Yeah, but he's not even on a team, so. Kaepernick.
I might just pick him up just to really just.
Well, I hear he's got a 50-50 shot, so maybe him and Josh Gordon.
Well, he was good 3 years ago, so he deserves to be on a team still, I guess. So.
Right?
Well, speaking of Kaepernick, so there's a lot to unpack there. So Kaepernick itself, now Matt won't put him on his team. He won't have any player on his team who kneels to the national anthem. Are we gonna cross that line? Is everybody all right with this?
I could respect that.
As far as a fantasy perspective, would you pick a player?
I know there are people that wouldn't draft Joe Mixon because of his history in like dynasty leagues. So what do you think I did? I named one of my teams Joe. She hit me first, Mixon.
Naturally.
You know? So she did hit him first, but
yeah,
make it right. You know.
That's one defense.
But there are people out there that won't draft a guy due to his, I guess, history and background. I don't know. So.
And we got the free agent bids out there. 5 of them where we've had multiple bids. Javaris Buck Allen was the 5 teams bid on him, so he was the most interesting pickup.
He pulled through,
right? Pal. What's that?
He pulled through this week.
He did.
Yeah. That was a good pickup.
Alex Collins was promoted, I believe, from the practice squad. And was there someone else promoted, or did they? So that backfield is fluid, it seems. But Buck Allen could lead the team in receptions. Nelson Aguilar was a popular pick by Winston is coming. I didn't put the emphasis as Evan does. JJ Nelson, I was outbid. I was outbid 3 times, I'm sorry, by Powell. How much money does he have left? When is he running out of money? It's not.
It's Powell. He just makes more. You know, he sells stocks or something and gets more free agent bidding money, you know?
And
there's a lot of money out here on this waiver wire. Look at all these dollar amounts.
We've got
I swear some people got more than me somehow. I don't know.
Well, we do. Right now, there's 2 ways to win money. That's your weekly winners, which Tom and Chad won week 1. It's still $10, but it's free agent bucks. And then there's end of season awards. Just to make it interesting.
I didn't know about that.
That's why we don't do the write-ups anymore.
I mean, I think I read those.
No, I'm just kidding. And then we have Jeff, week 2, up against Mikey is a Ginger. That's Joe Dominic, and I thought had a pretty interesting team heading into the season. Matt Ryan, DeMarco Murray.
I like this Tyrell Williams kid. So he's had a couple of 5-point games. It sucks. He had a rough first week with the Bucks and Dolphins being rained out.
Yeah, that team has had they played Denver week 1, was it? Or week 2?
Who's this?
Tyrell and the LA Chargers.
Yeah, they played Denver week 1 and the Dolphins week 2.
Yeah, that's not.
About 54 yards each week for him. I think DeMarco Murray got hurt, so that doesn't help.
No. Ajayi.
Yeah, Murray's got a hamstring issue, I think, I read. Because that helps my Henry situation there.
It sure does.
Yeah. The Patriots defense hasn't looked good at all.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so. I mean, he might have to abandon ship there pretty soon.
Yeah, kicker's a kicker. Ertz has been great. Ajayi's been great, but like you said, only played in the 1 game. So that really hurt in week 1. I think we talked about that last week. Didn't Evan mention that Deshaun Jackson is on his starting squad, staying with Ajayi, and he couldn't play either of those players week 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, his prospects could improve. But who's he got behind Murray? I guess that's the question. AP.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's not good.
So, Robert Turbin's not looking too hot.
As Ben said, it's really about health. There's not a lot of depth in this league generally. How do you guys feel at this point at 1-1?
Well, I felt pretty good going into the year, and then losing Cam Meredith, I thought we feel like that hurt pretty bad, right, Chad?
Yeah, we're counting on a big breakout season for him this year, and so that sucked. Well, I was glad with our running back depth, because that's clearly showing right now. But the wide receiver was a little more in question now, especially with losing him. But hopefully we can get some type of consistency with them. If we get that, I think we'll be all right.
So
Yeah,
you've got-
Kobe Fleener's been pretty solid for us. Touchdown each game. I thought Ryan Suckup was way undervalued as a kicker. And then we took a chance with the Jags defense. Paid off first week, not so much week 2. So Mariota, I like him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bradford there on your bench, just chilling.
Yeah.
Incredible week 1.
Yeah, and then something happened. I don't even know. I feel like he just got injured out of the blue.
That's Sam Bradford. What I'd heard was some of those. He had that knee surgery.
Yeah.
That sometimes there's that cleanup a year or 2 later. He hadn't gone through with that. But that's obviously speculation. Nobody really knows. Tyreek Hill, when did you draft him? So he took a replacement of Cam.
We took him in the 4th round, I think.
Yeah, 3rd or 4th, I think.
He had a pretty good first week.
Yeah,
Not too bad.
4th round.
Yeah.
Mariota in the 5th.
Did you draft Chris Carson?
No, we picked him up right before the season started.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Procise.
And then we swapped him.
Yeah, he seems like he's on the path to a starting role.
Yeah.
Ben, what do you think of Chris?
I'm feeling pretty good about Carson.
Yeah.
I saw him. I saw a few of his runs this weekend, and I was impressed. I'm still not sold on that backfield yet. It just seems like there's just been so many issues the past couple seasons there that I don't know. Just not sure if they can decide fully on who they're going to go with. So
I have some confidence in him, like potential-wise, but almost like the Patriots backs, I don't trust until, I don't know, I just don't trust them. They haven't had him besides Marshawn Lynch, so, I mean, it's hard when they're playing 3 or 4 running backs to be too confident, but I do like the way they looked last week.
Yeah, it has nothing to do about his running. It has more to do with, I guess, the game management part of it. Yeah, so.
Yeah. Seattle's offense doesn't look too great, so I don't know how much they'll be running, but I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, it's worth a shot. You just never know, so.
Yeah. But I'm happy with our running backs, though, that's for sure.
And Ben starting Derrick Henry this week.
Yeah.
Last week. I didn't even know you. So you just
I kind of had to.
Yeah.
You just don't. It's a Jets offense. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they just. I think Forte can have some decent weeks, and then there's going to be weeks when he probably throws up a goose egg. So it's just going to have to be, I guess, maybe trying to match him up with, the best I can. The nice thing is with Forte, with the Jets being down a lot, they'll probably throw, but he does catch stuff out of the backfield, so he can still be utilized there.
So I got a question for you. With Andy Dalton struggling and that offensive line and Bengals struggling, with Jordy Nelson potentially missing the week, do you start Devontae and Martavis, or do you keep AJ in the lineup?
Devontae's already in my starting lineup. Yeah, he's already there. It's Martavis and Devontae. Yep, no doubt.
So AJ,
No, not even second guessing myself.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So do you want to trade us, AJ Green?
I've been trying to trade him since the offseason. I have been. So he's available. So
He's still wide receiver.
just have to. Not well, potential.
I like this.
But right now, no. That offense is in such disarray, and you gotta remember that's my team. So like, if I'm saying that about them, it's bad. So
Yeah, they look bad.
like, I don't even think. You think about, okay, it's AJ. Like, even if the Bengals are down all year, he's going to get garbage stuff. They can't even do things getting garbage time. You know what I mean? Like, they can't protect Dalton long enough for him to. And then Dalton, when he does have time, I mean, he's not even hitting his receivers. So I don't know how you can. I don't. It's not that you can't trust AJ. It's you can't trust Dalton in the offensive line.
Is there any revelings on Marvin Lewis?
He's terrible. He should have been gone years ago.
Yeah.
He's terrible.
What's the owner just likes? I mean, they have a winning team usually every year, right?
They go like 500, just above 500. They're I actually saw the last time that I saw a graphic online somewhere. The last time the Bengals won a playoff game, Double Dragon had just come out for the NES or whatever. So that kind of takes it back a bit. It was like Double Dragon 2 or something like that. So that tells you where their franchise has been. So
yeah, I can remember. Do they even have arcades anymore? I remember.
Yeah, some places you find an arcade. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we got an arcade. It's sick.
Where? Like in your
Exton Mall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's brand new. It's huge. Yeah.
It's just an arcade, or is there other stuff in there?
Oh, is it like a Dave and Buster's?
Yeah. There's bowling alley, pool tables. There's like karaoke rooms. Yeah, there's a bunch.
Karaoke rooms?
Yeah, you can rent a room. There's like 7 or 8 of them.
That's crazy.
It's pretty cool.
Is that near you or in Philly?
Near us, like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Karaoke is supposedly really big in the city.
Yeah, I went to one before, and it was like, I don't know. I don't get into karaoke, but there's like all these different rooms with however many people you want in the room. You just take turns singing. I was like,
yeah, that's like a bunch of couches.
Yeah, there's a couch, a table.
And sometimes you run into NFL players there.
Yeah. And I think they provide you with drugs and everything too, so you just lay it all out on the table and you're good to go.
Right.
So I think we can agree we'll be in a sing-along at the end of this, right?
Possibly.
Tom, you can choose the song.
All right.
The Giants put up 112.
All right, so this is my favorite team in the league.
Which one?
If you want to go, the Giants.
All right.
This team, I think they're stacked.
So they are.
So let's go over their team then.
Let's
run it down.
So Russell Wilson, you consider him an elite quarterback?
I think he's good enough.
Keenan Allen coming back from injury.
Good
Hasn't
enough.
done much so far, but
I mean, he's had a 9.5 and a 10-point game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's solid for a number 2 wide receiver.
As long as he stays healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
Mike Evans has been crushing it, or he's only had the one game, right?
He's gonna crush it this year.
CJ Anderson has looked unbelievable so far this year.
That's another thing that helps Simeon out is that they have a running game right now.
Yeah.
Booker on his way back though. The coaching staff has been talking to him a lot. May or may not mean anything. And
he's got 2 tight ends.
Do you like Martellus Bennett?
I mean, he's got Witten too, so you just play the matchup.
Right.
Yeah.
Witten's
I mean, I own Witten in a couple of my other dynasty leagues, and like, I'm totally content with Witten, man. He's still going to put numbers up, so I think that's a guy you can usually get late in the draft too.
Yeah, and then he's got a solid kicker and top 2 or 3 defense probably.
Thoughts on?
If he stays healthy, I like that team.
Which has been a problem for him, and especially last year. I think he had He had a similar team last year. He had those 4 keepers: Devontae, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Russell Wilson. Keenan Allen was injured last year. Russell Wilson played injured. Mike Evans exploded in the first half and then fell off in the second. Devonta Freeman was pretty consistent, but he was their only consistent player. So yeah, if he's healthy, that's
what it is in this league, man. I mean, it is a solid team if his players, aren't sitting on the IR.
He's got a lot.
So
He's got solid depth at running back on his bench too, a lot more than I do. That's certainly. He's got Jonathan Stewart,
Yeah.
Darren Sproles, who's been the leading ball, or he's at least led the team in touches.
Right.
Deonta Foreman, who
Yeah.
seems to
He had
be
12 touches last week, so.
yep. So yeah, best defense, one of the best kickers.
Yeah, what do you guys think about Foreman?
I know he was incredibly productive coming out of college. I didn't. He had a good combine too. I didn't think he passed the eye test, but and I rely probably too much on that. So
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you guys think?
I mean, I saw him run. What was it? They were in that Thursday night game, right? Against who were they against?
Cincinnati, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I tried to forget it, guys. I tried to forget it. It was so bad. But he got some carries, and I kind of liked what I saw.
Yeah, I took a flyer on him in a league.
So.
Yeah, I think Mike messaged me, said he liked what he saw in Foreman. Was upset that he didn't have him for some reason.
Right? Yeah, I saw that he kind of took over earlier in the first half and had way more carries than I can't think of the other running back.
Lamar
right
Miller, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought maybe he was just taking the role from him, but Miller came back and kind of evened it out. But at least he's getting carries.
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, I think we can all agree that you don't have that number one. Most teams don't have that number one guy that's going to get 25 carries a game anymore. You know, so if you can get a pretty strong running back who's going to get 12, 13, 14 touches a game, they can make do with that usually. So
yeah.
And that's probably what I could see him playing that kind of role. So.
Yeah.
So week 2, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I unplugged it when my dog started barking. Week 2 was much higher scoring than week 1, but still low. So if you look at the mean, it's about 1283, and that's about what the median is as far as what we've done since 2008. And we scored 1244. So it's quite a bit below that. Week 2, the mean actually in other years has been 1325. So I don't know if these first 2 weeks have been lower scoring. I don't know if those are an outlier, if that's going to be a trend. But it's definitely better football. Would you agree, Ben? Second week?
Yeah, I agree.
Second week compared to the first week?
Yeah, I know you had talked about
Yeah, no, I don't think it's great. I don't think, but I think it's better than it was the first week. But I still don't think, I don't know. I get like a weird feeling like watching games right now. Like, it just doesn't, I don't know. I don't know what it is. It doesn't remind me of years past, So
it just seems like, I know it happens more and more each year, but it just seems like there's so many season-ending injuries anymore, and quarterback play is really not that good outside of maybe like 5 or 6 quarterbacks. So I don't know, there's injuries and there's lack of talent in some spots. Like running backs aren't what they used to be. It's like running back by committee, so that's the popular thing. I don't know. So it's hard to like really rack up points and do all that, but I don't know.
What games do you get down there generally? I'm sure you get just the Florida teams, or
yeah, the Bucks are always on. It's weird. I tell Tom this all the time. I live closer to Jacksonville, and they never show the Jags. I know they suck, but you would think they would still show them. But
you probably get blacked out because they don't sell out their games. That's what usually happens.
That's true. So, yeah, but we always get the Bucks and the Dolphins are always on. Those two shitty teams. Well, the Bucks aren't horrible, but can't stand Jameis Winston. So
watch him on the HBO?
No, I'll get sick to my stomach if I watch him. I can't stand the sight
I think
of it.
was it Mike who had said that his opinion changed after
Yeah.
watching him. You might be surprised. You might end up liking
I hear people
famous
say
Jameis.
like he's a great teammate and leader and all that, but I don't know. I don't know. Plus, he's a Florida State guy, so I can't like him no matter what.
Speaking of Mike in week 1 played his brother, crushed him. Matt had his 5th lowest score of all time. I just want that to be known.
So,
Just an awful
have you
week.
talked to Matt? Is he worried about this team now?
You know what? I think if you were to talk to Matt right now, the conversation would be around his latest acquisition.
Josh Gordon.
Yes.
So, Eifert's looked a little sketchy. Same thing that Ben was saying earlier about AJ Green, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, no tight end is tough to win without.
Nope.
And then Jordan Howard,
Injured.
yeah, injured, splitting time now. Jordy Nelson injured. I don't know.
Yeah, Cohen's
I-
kind
I-
of taking.
I still think Matt made a mistake keeping Jordy Nelson. With a couple of the guys he traded away would have been better keepers. That's just my opinion.
So in the offseason,
But-
he traded Carlos Hyde to
Yeah.
Colin, and Colin ended up dropping Ty Montgomery as a result, but that seems to be a wash so far. I'm not sure what that looks like in the long term. And he traded Devontae Adams to you, Ben, which is
Yeah.
going to help you tremendously, especially now that AJ is struggling.
Yeah. And so Matt could be in some trouble, I think. I don't know. I mean,
Kirk Cousins hasn't done much.
yeah, they haven't looked real great.
Not
Yeah, new
since
offensive
preseason.
coordinator there.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
lost some wide receivers there too. Garcon and Deshaun are gone, so
Yeah,
They
their
might
running game's not great there either.
yeah.
And speaking of them, like all I could hear was like the buzz over Pryor, like all summer long in all my dynasty leagues, and he hasn't done anything.
No.
I know. I have him in my other league, and
Like I like them. I mean I was seeing him work out over the summer, like videos, like he seemed to be really dialed in.
Yeah.
But man, no, it just hasn't been there yet. So I don't know.
Now he was up against the Eagles last week, so I, of course, watched that game being an Eagles fan, and I think he looked better than what he put on, what he put in the box score. He did have, I mean, if you just look at the targets, he's targeted a ton. Just he had a couple bad drops. Kirk Cousins wasn't in sync with him. It seemed like when they were going long.
Yeah.
And like you said, that offense just seems to be in shambles. Or somebody had said that the new offensive coordinator, and it might take a few weeks for them to figure that all out. He might still be okay, but I've got him in another league too, and he was on my bench for week 2. So
if I had to pick a guy on their team offensively who I think might see a bigger fantasy role is going to be Crowder now that Reed is hurt again.
Yeah, we had Crowder last year, and he was pretty consistent.
Yeah, well, the thing is Crowder runs a lot out of the slot, but a lot of those routes can be run by Reed. You know what I mean? So with Reed out, that's going to open up more of those slot routes for Crowder to get targeted. So if I was going to pick a receiver for the Redskins, and I think Crowder's the guy you might see that might fantasy-wise be the guy you want to go with. I don't know who has Crowder in our league, but
look, I completely agree with that take.
Mike has Crowder.
That's my opinion. You know, I own Crowder in a couple of my other leagues, and you know he hasn't really put a ton of points up yet, but I can see him doing it. You know, so
yeah.
And coming into this season, Mike has him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is he starting him this week?
He started him versus us. I can pull up this week.
Yeah, he started him. He started him last week too. I mean, this past week.
Yeah, he's got him in his starting lineup right now.
Yeah.
He's got Thielen on his bench, of course, with Bradford out. Yeah, I don't think that changes. Marquise Lee hasn't.
Yeah, so he had negative 0.6 points the first week and a 4.7 production last week. So I don't know. It's tough to say, but
yeah, I think they have to do something though. I don't know what. I mean, they've got that stud. Would you call, first of all, I guess, would you call him a stud receiver?
who? Crowder?
No,
Pryor.
Pryor?
He's got stud potential. I mean, he
Yeah.
did really good with Cleveland, and they don't have a quarterback at all. So you would think with Kirk Cousins and the way they like to throw the ball, he would be putting up some bigger numbers. But maybe it's just a rough start. They got to get their shit together for the season. But
yeah, because I can't see what's missing otherwise. They've got an incredible, one of the best tight ends in the league. Of course, he's injured, apparently not 100%. Crowder, obviously, Chris Thompson. Doxson, I guess, isn't giving him anything, but Crowder's in 2 wide receiver sets anyway. And then,
well, who was it Grant that had a decent week last week?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. So maybe he's going to be the guy there. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. So, but it's just, yeah, that offense seems to not be in sync yet. So it's kind of wishy-washy. But if I was going to pick a guy, it would be Crowder for fantasy point wise. But moving forward, but we'll see.
So Matt hit on Matt Ryan last year. I think we all agree he needs Kirk Cousins to do something in order for his team to really stay afloat with all these injuries hitting. But he's got some decent depth, so we'll see. Mike is somehow also 1-1, despite scoring the least points in the league this year, thus far.
And he's playing Jim this week, who is probably consensus number 1 going into the year, right?
Correct. Yeah, I would say that it was either him or
Matt. And he's lost 2, huh?
Yeah, 0-2.
Yeah. Le'Veon Bell hasn't done anything thus far.
Lamar Miller
had a tough week 1, but crushed it.
He's got Reeds out, you know.
Michael Thomas hasn't shown anything either.
Brandon Marshall hasn't done anything.
He picked up Amendola, it looks like.
I think Marshall might be done. But Macklin, he'll have a floor at least, probably, right?
Macklin's been good so far, solid.
Yeah, he has.
So that's positive.
And the Ravens are gonna launch the ball a lot too, so that's gonna help. That's gonna help receivers.
He's got a good kicker.
Except Perry for the Ravens. I don't know. That guy's been non-existent, so I thought he was going to do bigger things, but Macklin's been the guy.
Ben Watson to replace Jordan Reed. If Jordan.
Yeah, I got outbid on Ben Watson. I wanted to pick him up, but I got outbid by a few bucks.
Where was he week 1? Was he injured? Or just not targeted?
Watson just put up a goose egg. I don't even know if they targeted him.
He did have 1 target week 1.
Yeah, so I don't know what the reason was that for, because he had a pretty good week last week.
That's Cincy defense.
They had
yeah,
because they had Danny Woodhead for a quarter.
Yeah. 4th round pick or whatever for you.
Whole quarter. Got a quarter out of him. Whole damn quarter. So, you guys are currently leading the league in scoring, averaging 111.17. That's Tom and Chad. 111.17. Projected to score, just shatter the record at 1,445 points at the end of the year. Jeff and Emily are second, however, first in our standings, averaging 107.85, projected to score 1402 for the season. Do you think that's a sustainable pace? Or do you think you'll go even higher? Just keep ramping it up?
I don't know. Like I said, if we get some better play from our receivers, I think
111 a week is real possible.
Yeah, I mean, I know our guys have been scoring a lot lately too, but I don't know. You never. Our Kobe Fleener, there's just too many question marks. I doubt we keep up that pace, but as long as we're putting wins up, who cares? Mariota needs to get off to better starts too. He's been starting slow both weeks.
Yeah, against Seattle this week.
Yeah, Fleener scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's only one player. Tyreek, he's gonna have really big games, and then he's gonna have duds. So you just kind of hope to spread those out. You know that the week that he duds out, that your other guys are pulling through for you. So.
Right.
But I mean, your core players is pretty solid.
Cooper taking a backseat to Crabtree week 2.
Yeah, that's interesting, right?
Cooper's taken a backseat to Crabtree his whole career.
Sure.
If you don't know that already, but
it's fun drafting him in the Crabtree. That is in like the 8th round.
Crabtree outscored Cooper last year, so
yeah. He had 13 targets in week 1, and then only 5 week 2. So, man, that's a huge difference right there. But
it's David Carr, man. He's the problem.
Get rid of him.
I don't think David Carr.
Second highest paid QB in the league.
Is it Derek? Which one is it? David?
Carr is the second. Stafford's one.
It's Derek. Derek Carr.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So is it rare for our league to only have 4 teams that are still undefeated after week 2?
To still have 4 teams, or to only have 4 teams?
We have 4 teams that are 2-0.
I think that's pretty standard.
Is that pretty standard?
I could take a look. Just generally, as far as starting 2-0, I can give you some facts on that, or stats on that anyway. Starting 2-0, what do you think the chances are of making the playoffs? What percentage?
Pretty great. 66, 70.
I was going to say 67%.
Chad, you on board?
I'm good with 70. Yeah, 70-ish.
Yeah, that's about right. 73% on average.
Okay.
If you go 2-0, you have a 73% shot based on past results last 9 years. You have the chance of making playoffs. 1-1, it's about 50-50. It's 54%. If you start out 0-2, those teams out there, you still have a shot. What do you think that shot is?
14%.
I was gonna say 13.
A little higher. It's still actually about 1 in 5. I'd say about
20%.
23%. If you round up there.
23. Okay.
So we only got 4 teams that are 0-2. So none of them are going to make the playoffs.
So 23%. We've got 4 teams.
Yeah.
Ah, shit.
You.
It's actually closer to 25%. We'll round up for my sake. Yikes. And let's see. Any other? I don't think I have any other statistics to walk through.
It's just crazy looking at what Jeff and Emily have put up number wise, and what Tom and Chad have put up number wise, and then look at me and Borowski at 2-0. I put up 123 points, and he's put up 130. It's just weird how our league works like that sometimes. Because realistically, I should not be 2-0, but it just depends on matchups, you know. So
it tends to even itself out, though. There's other leagues where I can go. I'm in like 10 team leagues, where I can score the most points in the season and still finish in last place. Like, it doesn't tend to happen in this league.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't remember if it was this league a year or two ago or whatever. It wasn't 2 years ago, or another league I was in. But I was in the top 2 all season long, even though I was in the bottom 2 of points scored. It was like I just got lucky as shit the whole way until the playoffs, of course, and then I lost. But
right.
The whole time I'm like, how the fuck do I keep winning these games? This is crazy.
Just gotta get in. That's it. I mean, you guys know that. Everybody, all of us know that. You get in. There's always that player that you have on your team. It just goes nuts. It's just need to get there. We've got 4 teams at the top at 2-0, 4 teams at the bottom at 0-2. Tom.
Yeah.
I know you did some research over the past week or so, looking at defenses and kickers, value of drafting them, what rounds they went in, if it paid off.
Yeah, so basically I wanted to find out if taking a kicker before the last 10th round was worth it, if taking a defense before the last 2 or 3 rounds was worth it, or if that backfired on you and decreased your chance of making the playoffs. So it's not, with kickers, not too interesting. Doesn't really matter when you take them, as long as it's not in like round 7 or before. Even teams that took them in round 8, they've made the playoffs. There's a couple times where teams didn't draft kickers.
What's the earliest of teams drafted a kicker?
7th round. They missed the playoffs, finished 14th.
As they should.
Yeah. So a couple times we didn't draft a kicker. 66% of the time those teams did not make the playoffs. And then there's been 3 times where a team has drafted multiple kickers. And Alan, you're one of them. You won the league that year.
Yes.
And 2 other teams did it, and they finished in 15th and 16th place. So not too great. But
Go ahead. Sorry.
Before we move on, like the kickers, it's around 50% chance to make the playoffs, whether you take him in round 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14. It doesn't really matter. But defenses, on the other hand, are a little different story. So what do you think the earliest round, Chad, anybody's ever taken a defense?
The earliest round?
Yeah.
6.
Round 3.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Who was?
It was a keeper, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't a draft pick. It was a keeper.
No, it was
It
when
was a keeper.
I remember that. It was the Legion of Boom when they were just. It was just the year after they won the Super Bowl, and
Yeah, so it was a team more wins than the Sixers. They finished in last place. One time we had a team not draft a defense. They missed the playoffs. But the interesting thing was, if you're taking a defense in rounds 12, 13, or 14, you have about a 70% chance to make the playoffs. But if you're taking a defense before that, you drop to about 50-50.
Wow. So you're better off waiting.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then what would you say is the most popular round to draft a defense in our league?
How many rounds do we have?
14.
I'll say
Go ahead, Chad. 11. I was gonna say 12 was kind of popping into my head. I'm gonna say 12.
I said 13.
You got to guess, Chad?
He said 11.
He said 11? All right.
Yeah.
So round 13 is the 3rd most popular round. Round 12 is the 4th most popular round. And round 11 is the 5th most popular round. So round 8 is the most popular round to draft a kicker.
Wow.
25 times it's happened in our league.
Oh, it was a kicker. I thought you said
defense. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Wow. Round 8 for a defense. Wow.
Wow,
3
people
more
jump
times than
on
any
I
it.
other
guess
round.
at that point, people are rounding out their rosters. They're saying, "Well, I've got."
Yeah, if they go in order of like positions or I mean,
Yeah, like filling out the starters, I guess, but I don't know.
All right, so it's happened 25 times, round 8. How many of those teams do you think made the playoffs?
you want
Out of
about
25,
percentage or
Yeah.
how many more teams?
How many teams out of the 25 teams
Yeah.
that drafted a defense in round 8 do you think made the playoffs?
18.
I'm gonna go 9.
4 teams. 4 out of 25.
Jesus.
4.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So
a
it's the
crazy
most
stat.
popular round and the worst round.
Yeah, I guess you did just say that if you drafted him before the 11th round is only 50% chance.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Way below 50%.
We might have a new stat boy. We might have to
Yes.
find him. Yeah, right.
What was Ben or what was Evan doing that he couldn't make it anyway? Sounds like it's all
Watching
excuses.
Field of Dreams, and I'm not making that up.
Yeah, that's poor.
There's a reason behind it. I explained it to Alan, but yeah. So
So that's about all I got on the kickers and defenses. Kickers,
Nice.
it doesn't really matter. Defenses, don't draft one before round 12.
or just pick one off of waivers
Yes, stream them.
and finish 10th.
So a couple times, 13 times, teams have drafted 2 defenses. And 8 out of those 13, they made the playoffs. 5 times they missed it. So
Oh,
Yeah, usually I try to draft 2 because I have no idea who to draft. I'm hoping one hits week 1 or 2 or
yeah, you are one of the teams that has drafted multiple defenses. You did it last year. You did it, I think, in 2012.
I couldn't do it this year. It's usually when I feel like I'm just so thin at other spots that I have to draft a position player, take a flyer on a guy, and hope he hits.
Yeah, you couldn't do it in 2008 because you had so many kickers on your team.
That's accurate. Oh, speaking of kickers, though, we haven't mentioned, quickly changing the subject, we haven't brought up Collins' team as much. He destroyed me this past week. But while I'm talking about him, has any player ever in your kicker research, has anybody ever picked up a kicker? That kicker was injured, and then picked up another kicker who was also injured, and then dropped that kicker for another kicker. Has that ever happened in your analysis?
It happened in my other league this year. The guy had 2 injured kickers on his roster.
Well, I would just say that also happened with Colin this past week, who destroyed me. I will admit.
He has 2 injured kickers, huh?
He just kept picking up injured kickers. I'm not sure. I think he had Sturgis, or he picked up Sturgis, and then Sturgis was injured the next. Like 2 days later, he went on the IR or something. So,
Huh.
in fairness, I didn't even know he was injured. And
So how do you guys feel about Collins' team? It's pretty solid looking here.
Yeah, he traded for Hyde, gave up a 6th round pick. That seems to have paid off. LaShawn McCoy had a huge week 1, didn't do anything week 2. Calvin Benjamin, I don't believe in as a football player, but he's a number 1 wide receiver, and he seems to be doing pretty well, right?
Well, yeah. What's his floor though?
He
Like, I
hasn't
mean,
yet.
like 6 or 7 points. He's
Yeah,
not terrible.
actually no. He scored 2 points week 1 and 7 or 8 week 2.
I was gonna say his floor is
He hasn't been
2.5 right now.
Yeah, he actually hasn't been too great. Dez, I read a stat where he's got Dez Bryant as wide receiver 1. He's obviously one of the top 5 receivers in the league. But I read a stat where he's facing one of the more difficult cornerback. He has one of the more difficult cornerback matchups in every week this season.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that. Yeah, I think I've seen that as well.
And then
Yeah,
there was also
that's
another
true.
stat that went out that said he's one of the worst wide receivers when facing top 25 cornerbacks. He doesn't perform well when he faces the upper or top tier cornerback. But
And it might not get any better for him because the Cowboys did not look in sync on Sunday.
No,
So
he passed a ton. There was
yeah,
a stat that I heard the other day. They were saying that the Dallas Cowboys last year ran the ball some obscene percentage when they were in the red zone. It was like 66%, and when they were within the 10-yard line. Or this
yeah.
year,
Dallas ran for like 2,100 yards last year total as a team.
ran the
That's
ball.
that's high.
But this
Yeah.
last week versus Denver, didn't establish a run. What did he have? Maybe 9 carries, I think, total. And Des Bryant,
Not
meanwhile,
8
against
yards
the
total.
cornerbacks, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. So Des Bryant versus these top tier cornerbacks. I think everybody would agree they have the top cornerbacks in lead Denver. 16 targets. So just, I'm not sure what the calculation there was, but
Yeah, they were forcing him the ball.
yeah, that wasn't a.
That's because they were behind the whole game though too, right? I mean,
They were towards the second half, but they didn't have to pass as much as they did early on. I mean, anytime you get 9 carries for Zeke, that's
he wasn't doing anything.
unfortunate. that team struggled generally, and they were dogs going into that game in Denver. Denver was dogs. Gronkowski, he's got who crushed it week 2. What he put up 17 points, 116 yards in like 2 quarters.
Yeah. Wow.
Just Brady had 4 TDs in the first quarter.
Pittsburgh defense, 2 good weeks.
Yeah,
their defense has been surprising to me. Yeah,
I haven't seen them play, but I've heard good things. What have you seen from them?
I mean, they played Cleveland and then a backup quarterback.
True.
So
True. Yeah.
what are you gonna do? They got the Bears next.
Oh, yeah, that's some pretty good matchup.
Or Jacksonville. I mean, that's a pretty easy start.
Yeah, they got a pretty good schedule ahead of them.
They're gonna have the Bengals twice, so coming up.
So
the best offense they play looks like is Kansas City. Well, not until like New England later in the year, but other than that schedule looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Collins got Big Ben at quarterback. So
similar schedule to the defense.
He's got Pierre Garçon, his backup wide receiver, Gio Bernard, who's been, I don't know, would you say he's been the best running back on that team, or would you say Mixon, Ben?
I mean, 9 points in 2 weeks. I hope that's not the best.
I don't know if you can use the word best and Cincinnati together right now. Well, there's a saying that I used to use. I mean, I guess it's using the best, but the best of my worst. You know what I mean? So, like, it's just not a good situation there for anyone offensively in Cincinnati. So
that's the only Cincy player he's got.
Who has Mixon?
Borowski.
Yep.
So he's got off to a 2-0 start, even with Mixon and Terrell Pryor, huh?
Yep, he just got good matchups. Yeah. Like I did. Kind of lucked out on the matchups. He didn't even have Landry in the first week either because of the weather.
Chris Johnson.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, he got me week 1, and I scored 54 points. So anytime you score 54, you're probably not going to win. Nope. Eric Ebron put up a solid. I don't even look at my team. Kevin White, he had going that week, who scored 0.6 points. I mean, nothing. It's just he played me. Our quarterbacks both scored exactly 18.68 points. Wait, is this right? Our wide receiver 1 both scored 6.6. We both had a. This is kind of creepy. So he beat me handily because my team's terrible. Week 2, who'd he get? He had New York City Brown Doggers.
Yep. So he's got to be disappointed with McCaffrey so far, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've never been sold on McCaffrey. I think I might own him in one dynasty league, just because I was like, well, just in case he does what more than I think he's gonna do, I want to at least own him one time.
Yeah.
But I just haven't been sold on that whole McCaffrey thing. I don't know.
I drafted him solely because I'm in another league's PPR. I thought he would just rack up the points on that, and he's not even really doing that.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
he gets
PPR is
New Orleans this week.
definitely a difference. But
Yeah.
but I'm still not. Most of my dynasty leagues are some form of PPR, and I still wasn't completely sold. So
Yeah. I wouldn't expect much out of him, like rushing wise, but I thought he would be getting somehow like 8 to 13 touches, mostly catches, and
yeah,
just pile that shit up. But he's not really doing anything.
Like
Yeah,
his
that
own
would-
style.
He's
that
played,
would be huge points if he had like 8 catches a game, but it's not happening. Yeah.
Now he has Allen Robinson, who's on the IR now. What do you do with Allen Robinson if you're Ryan? Do you stash him? You're starting out 1-1, so you still got a 50-50 shot to make playoffs. Do you just keep that bench spot for this IR? Hope he changes teams next year. You drop him. I mean, I would want to keep him if I could. Just 'cause
Yeah, I mean,
feel
I guess if there's a player out there and you got to drop somebody, you do it. Unless you're out of the playoff picture, right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
still 1-1.
I mean, right now, if there's no one really out there to grab, I wouldn't drop him. But say like a Jordan Howard pops up on waivers one week, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't know. Do you drop him to pick up a new stud running back? I don't know. So
I don't know what that calculation is. I don't know what to tell. I don't even know what to do with my own players.
did he draft Robinson
Yeah.
or was he a keeper? So here's a question I saw when I saw you post a thing about what do you do with Allen Robinson in IR. This is kind of a different side of IR. And obviously we don't have an IR spot in our league, like to put a player on. But I thought, we're always looking to better our league. And I just thought when I saw it, I was like, what if we added in, not this year, but we could vote on it for future years. What if we added an IR spot that could only be used for a keeper player, like that you kept?
That's a tough calculation. Well, maybe not. How do I determine whether or not that player's like as commissioner? If you put a player on IR and you say, "Well, this is a keeper," how do
Somebody
I?
you kept the year before.
Keeper from the previous year.
Oh, I see.
Like
Okay.
if you don't keep anybody from the previous year,
Yep.
you wouldn't be able to utilize the IR spot.
Mhm.
But if you had a keeper and they went down mid-season, or whenever, you could put them on IR. I don't know, like, because obviously right now I'm in a predicament. Like, obviously I'm not dropping David Johnson. I mean, we know that, but just like other years, like I'm gonna be stuck with an empty roster spot basically, for majority of the season. So I don't know. Or do we just IR spot for everybody? I don't know. So
You're saying it would have to be a player that you had just kept? It can't be
yeah,
Right.
What if, say, and this would likely not happen if you have but what if I had a player? What if I had Allen Robinson? I had another guy on IR, say David Johnson. I put David Johnson on my IR and I dropped Allen Robinson. And somebody else picked up Allen Robinson. Would that player be able to put Allen Robinson on the IR because he was a kept player the previous season, or does that have to be kept in this scenario by that owner?
I would say it would only be for that owner because that you'd be kind of taking advantage of a drop player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like once he hits the waivers or once he's off a team,
he's not a keeper anymore.
He's no longer a keeper. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's something we have to do. I'm just, it just kind of popped into my head. I said, because people have brought it up before about IRs and stuff, and do we want to move to that route? I don't know. I'm not sold on it either way. I just figured I'd bring up a topic about it.
If it came to a vote and everybody wanted to go that route, I would have no problem with that. But as a rule today, generally, I think I like to put people to a decision. So you've got this player. He's on the IR. He's on your bench. You got to make that decision. Do you keep him on your bench and stash him for the year? Do you drop him to waivers and hope you can pick him up at the end of the year? Or do you just drop him and write him off? Or try to trade him? Like, it makes you... It's an easy decision. If he's on IR and he's a keeper, you just drop him on your IR. But if there is no IR, then you got to make a decision. And that's going to prompt a chain of events where you're picking him up, you're dropping him, I should say. Somebody else is picking him up. They're going to drop one of their players who might be useful to somebody else. And
I just feel like you almost get punished twice if it's a stud player that gets on the IR.
Oh yeah.
You lose them and then you lose them. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. Or you could make it like, okay, you could just everybody could have an IR spot, but you couldn't move a person to IR unless you had two guys go on to IR. So you'd have to maybe decide, do I hold on to one guy, and get through the season, which I think we've all probably done before, and then like, oh my gosh, another guy on my team, another stud goes down, now I can at least put one on IR and open up a roster spot, but still have a second IR guy on my active roster. I don't know, just ideas.
And I'll say that if anybody does have a rule change and they think that it could be a consensus popular choice or change, then just speaking to everyone, post it out there, put it out there and say, hey, maybe put this up for a vote. Maybe you'll get other people behind you that say, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Let's vote on that. I would vote for that change. And that's how to move forward.
Oh, and I agree. It needs to be voted on. And I just think something like that is a completely different, has a completely different complexion to it than like a rule like a PPR rule, because we've already got players on our teams. Some teams could get drastically hurt by a PPR rule, where does everybody get hurt by an IR rule change? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't know. So an IR thing seems to be a little bit more fair around the field than a PPR rule change would be. So, because we did vote on the PPR thing, but I don't think it passed, obviously, right?
We've voted several times on PPR.
Yeah.
It's a polarizing change.
It's something that I wouldn't mind bringing in if we were starting over with a fresh draft.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
there's been some waiver wire activity here during the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, maybe they're listening in.
Breaking news.
What did I give away?
Orleans Darkwa.
Added,
potentially starting for the Giants.
The Giants.
And also, Houston defense dropped. One of the earlier defenses taken.
Breaking news.
Before round 12, so obviously not a good move.
Maybe they are listening in.
Do you think Mike saw that transaction by Matt and was like, I just beat him this week. I've got to outdo him and make 2 transactions?
I saw Darkwood picked up in, I think, a Dynasty League or 2. So,
I mean, he's averaged, I think I saw the Roto World blurb on him. He's averaged 5+ yards a carry, and Paul Perkins has been just awful. Darko could take over as the lead back. I don't know what that's worth in New York, but with Shane Vereen getting the passing down backs and that team seemingly always in bad spots because Eli Manning is awful. And his offensive line. Did you see they kept showing Flowers getting beat by, I can't remember the Detroit player. Just getting shit on by him.